Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we will be recapping the Thursday night football game, heading to the Facebook group to do a little start-sit discussion that'll hopefully jog some ideas for your start-sit questions. As always, if you have your own questions on the start-sits for Week 5, drop them down in the comments below. And then at the end, we will be doing our underdog pick'em again. If we hit that, we'll be giving away $50 to someone who comments on this video, so make sure you do so. Before we get started, yes, I got a haircut. My fiance says I look like Ray from Outer Banks. You tell me. If you know, you know. Let's hop into the Thursday night game. It was a 26-23 victory for the 49ers over the Rams in a little bit of shocking fashion. Obviously, the 49ers were very, very injury depleted in this one. No Brock Purdy, no Juwan Jennings, no Ricky Pearsall, no George Kittle, of course. It was Mac Jones and a bunch of backups, and CMC, of course, just absolutely getting the job done, getting it out, a true warrior victory out of Mac Jones, who had 342 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, played very lights out, re-injured the knee, so that's obviously going to be something to look at. They have a long week ahead. Sounds like Purdy is more week to week, so we have to see what his status will be for week 6. But obviously the star of the show was Kendrick Bourne, 10 for 142 in this one, and he operated as the wide receiver 1. With the injuries to Jennings and Pearsall, I'm expecting at least one, if not both of those guys back next week. So obviously Kendrick Bourne will likely take a back seat to those guys, but Kendrick Bourne stepped up when they needed him most and absolutely shined. CMC got it done as well, per usual, 8 for 82 and a touchdown through the air, and then 57 yards on the ground on 22 carries. Continues to be very inefficient on the ground, which is definitely concerning. Obviously, the usage in the receiving game makes it so it doesn't really matter, but definitely concerning that this O-line and CMC cannot get any push or anything going on the ground. But an absolutely gutsy performance out of Mac Jones, and he just absolutely carried the squad. Jake Tonges, 7 for 41 and a touchdown, tying the team high with 11 targets. He's continuing to be a very solid, startable tight end with George Kittle out, but Kittle should be returning, sounds like week 7, so we got one more week of Tonjes in us. On the Rams side of things, Matthew Stafford goes 389 and 3 scores. Obviously, Puka does what Puka does, 10 for 85 and a touchdown, leads the squad in targets per usual. Like I always say, Puka is the 101 right now. He is the alpha dog. He is never showing up to a game and going 4 for 45. It just ain't happening. Devontae Adams comes home in this one as well, 5 for 88. And then Kyron Williams with a huge game, 8 for 66, 2 receiving scores, and then adds 65 yards on the ground. Blake Corum fumbles the ball early in this one, putting him in the doghouse, does not see any more snaps after that, and Kyron Williams stole the show. We will have to see if they give Blake Corum another chance next week. I know they were wanting this kind of 70-30 split, but we'll have to see if that comes back to fruition with Blake Corum fumbling the football. Of course, Kyron's had his own fumbling issues in the past, fumbled again in this one himself, which turned out to be a big one. But they seem to trust Kyron regardless. So with that being said, just a gutty performance out of Mac Jones. Just a sweet performance from those 49ers backups. But let's move on to some start-sit topics. Go ahead and drop your start-sit questions down below. We'll get into some here on this Facebook group. Subscribe! Subscribe, you guys! Subscribe! All right, the first question here is Woody Marks, David Montgomery, or Marvin Harrison Jr. in the flex. I'm going to lean Woody Marks in this one. Obviously, Baltimore's whole defense is really banged up. Woody Marks has kind of overtaken Nick Chubb as the starter in Houston. Obviously, David Montgomery has some external factors going for him. His sister, who was in an accident, is finally getting to see him play. So this is a homecoming game for Montgomery against a horrible Cincy defense. So I don't mind that. And I also honestly don't mind Marvin Harrison Jr., to kind of continue what he did in the second half of last week. But I lean Woody Marks. I think he's going to be the safest play with, still having that ceiling upside. Let's move on. Start Genty or Keenan Allen for my flex. I would definitely lean Ashton Genty here. I think he's going to get 20 touches in this one through the air and on the ground. And I really like him to score a touchdown and kind of build on what he did last week. I know it's kind of a tougher matchup than what he had last week against Chicago, but I like Ashton Genty to keep it rolling this week. Would you trade Rashee Rice and Woody Marks for CeeDee Lamb? Absolutely not. I think Rashee Rice is going to be as valuable, if not more valuable, than CeeDee Lamb, in the long run once he gets back. And Woody Marks is a starter, easy RB2 at this point. I definitely would not make that trade for a hurt CeeDee Lamb. Brian Thomas or Chris Godwin? That is an interesting question. BTJ has obviously been pretty bad so far this season, and Godwin got a lot of targets in his first game back. Of course, he didn't do much with it, but I kind of lean Chris Godwin here. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be able to run the football against Seattle, and I think Godwin gets another, 8 to 10 targets in this game. I lean Godwin there. Let's move on. This one's a little bit more niche, but he said Troy Franklin or Malik Washington for long-term upside. I'm going to lean Troy Franklin. I just think his role as the wide receiver 2 is more pronounced in this Denver offense. And Malik Washington's going to be kind of a gadget guy, more like the Marvin Mims of Miami. So I think Troy Franklin's usage is going to be more predictable in the long term. Let's see, Henderson or Pollard PPR. Honestly, Tennessee's offense is just so bad. I lean Travion Henderson here. His boom week is coming any moment. If Ramondre Stevenson fumbles the ball at all, Henderson is going to be the feature back. Plus PPR, Henderson's used a lot in the passing game where Pollard is not. So give me Travion Henderson for that. Start Manor or Chris Godwin. I'm going to go Godwin here again. Obviously, if we're going Godwin or over BTJ, it's going to be Godwin over Manor as well for me. I think Godwin gets, like I said, 8 to 10 targets in this game. Pretty good spot for Chris Godwin. Just trade Jamar for Justin Jefferson, good trade or not. I would absolutely trade away Jamar for Justin Jefferson. The quarterback problems are very, very evident in Cincy, and Justin Jefferson seems to be doing just fine with Carson Wentz. And, when McCarthy gets back, it'll be a little tougher to predict, but I think Justin Jefferson definitely looks better. PPR, Rachaad White or Courtland Sutton at the flex. This is a tough one. This is very close. Obviously, Bucky Irving is out for this game. Rachaad White is going to be the feature back against Seattle, who gives up a lot of pass-catching work to running backs. Obviously, that's Rachaad White's specialty. But even with that said, I lean Courtland Sutton. They're likely going to be behind against Philadelphia, so probably a fair amount of pass attempts for Bo Nix in this one. I know Philly's pass defense is pretty solid, but I think Courtland Sutton is just so consistent, he's going to get the job done. I lean very slightly Sutton over Rachaad White in this one. Little trade offer here. Offered Nico Collins for Javonte Williams. His wide receivers suck, and his other RBs, yeah, absolutely. With that running back room, it's an easy accept there. All right, who do we do in the flex? We got Michael Carter, Jordan Mason, Rachaad White, T. Higgins, McLaurin, or Wan'Dale Robinson, or Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, kind of a sneaky guy for upside this week. But I'm going to lean, out of those options, I think I lean give me Rachaad White. I think his pass-catching work is going to be enough. I like Jordan Mason, but he has such a tough matchup going against Cleveland that I'm not confident the Vikings are going to be able to sustain drives. But I think Rachaad White's going to catch 4 or 5 dump-offs in this one. I like Rachaad White there, although Jameson Williams is a sneaky play this week. Let's see. Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott. I'm going to say Daniel Jones. I just think that rushing upside is there. And Dak is obviously without CeeDee Lamb still, so has George Pickens alone. I like Daniel Jones this week and moving forward. We've got Jameson Williams versus Cincy or Wan'Dale versus New Orleans. Wan'Dale's got a safer floor, probably. Although with Jackson Dart at quarterback, that's not 100%. Give me Jameson Williams. I think going against Cincy, they tried to get him going last week, didn't quite come to fruition. I think this is the week Jameson Williams goes boom. I like him to have 100 yards, at least 1 score in this one. I really like Jameson Williams this week. We've got Juwan Johnson or Dallas Goedert. Kind of have to see if Juwan Johnson plays in this one. He's kind of been banged up with an ankle injury, so we have to see if he plays. But Goddard's been fine. Had the 2 receiving touchdowns last week on the cheesy plays. But I lean Goddard just with Juwan Johnson not being 100%. I think Goddard's an easy play for me there. See, Jacoby Myers or Jamar Chase. It's kind of crazy that we've gotten to this point in the season that Jamar Chase's quarterback situation has been bad enough. We're considering starting Jacoby Myers over him. And honestly, I think I lean Jacoby Myers here. Brock Bowers is still banged up, definitely not 100%. I think, Vegas is going to be behind per usual. So I think Jacoby Myers is finally going to get some more targets in this one. I like him to have a 6-catch game. I lean Jacoby Myers, although obviously it's kind of hard to sit Jamar Chase, so I would not blame you there. Let's see. All right, we got a 2-quarterback league, and we got to start 2 of these guys. Drake May, Justin Fields, and Jalen Hurts. I'm going to lean Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields here. Fields obviously has the nutted matchup against that Dallas defense, which has been really horrible, as we all know. I think even he can take advantage of this Dallas D with his arm. Jalen Hurts, you're starting every week. He's just kind of a fantasy scoring spam guy. Drake May's obviously been really, really good. Goes against this Buffalo defense, which is a little banged up, but they're still solid. So, it's close between Justin Fields and Drake May for me, but I lean Jalen and Justin on that one there. Start 1 in PPR, Rashad White or Woody Marks. I lean Woody Marks in this one. He clearly has the lead in this backfield. Like I said, going against a depleted Ravens defense. I think Woody Marks has another smash week. Let's do a couple more start-sit questions. All right, here's a good one. We got Brian Thomas Jr. or Jerry Jeudy in a PPR. This is very interesting. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel is now starting for the Cleveland Browns this week, although they are going over to London to play this game. I think I lean Brian Thomas Jr. in this one, just because it is the first week of Dylan Gabriel. We have to see what we're getting. Plus, they're going against a tough Minnesota Vikings defense, and it's just not a good combination of things. Rookie quarterback in London, tough defense. Jerry Jeudy could definitely get there at the end of the day, and Brian Thomas Jr. has not looked the part. As we all know, it's been really, really rough for Jacksonville and BTJ, but he's got to get right at some point, so I lean BTJ over Jeudy, although it is pretty close. All right, we are doing our final one here. We have a pick 1, Ladd McConkey, Calvin Ridley, IU Manor, Henderson, or Brown. I'm going to go Ladd McConkey one last week. I think he is going to have a week finally. They're going against a terrible Washington Commanders pass defense who is bottom in the league like they were the last couple seasons. I know Quentin Johnson has been fantastic. Keenan Allen's been doing his thing, and Ladd has been playing third fiddle. But I think it is a Ladd McConkey week. I have faith in him one more week. If things don't go good this week, though, looking very, very dark and gloomy for Ladd McConkey and his fantasy owners. But let's believe in him one more week and throw him into our lineups. That is a perfect way to end our start-sit segment. And lastly, let's head on over to Underdog, cook up an 8-leg pick'em. And like I said earlier, if you comment on this video, you have a chance to win $50 if we hit our pick'em. All right, so last time I did this, I kind of scrolled through each game. I hadn't really looked at any of the lines, and I felt that kind of took a little bit long. You can let me know down in the comments if you felt it was long or if you liked looking at the lines with me. But I'm just going to kind of pick out some lines that I like, that I kind of looked ahead at, and we'll go from there. I just don't want to take too long on this pick'em segment and bore you guys. So let's go ahead and head to this Dallas Jets game. Obviously, there's going to be, lots of yards, lots of points in this one. I really like Breece Hall in this one. Of course, Justin Fields, it's obviously a great spot for him. But let's go ahead and do Breece Hall. Let's see. Let's go 68.5 rush yards over. Obviously, Braylon Allen is out for quite a while. That's kind of a guy who's been eating into a lot of his workload. Isaiah Davis will get some of the third down work, but Breece Hall should be the early down runner. His rush attempts line is at 16.5, so I really, really like that spot for him. We'll head to the LV and Indy game. Let's go ahead and Let's see what Daniel Jones's passing numbers have been looking like. 316, 228, 262. Been very, very solid. Although I feel like Indy's not going to have to pass much in this game. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see what Geno's looking like here. 32.5 pass attempts for Geno. I really like that higher. I think, like I said, LV's going to be behind. They're going to need to throw the ball. Something's got to happen, right? Geno's going to throw the ball 32.5 times. See, Giants, Saints, a battle of the poor teams. Obviously, this is the second Jackson Dart start. Let's go ahead and see. What do we like here? Let's do... Let's go ahead and go a Darius Slayton lower than 41.5 receiving yards. I know Malik Neighbors is out and all that, but I don't think Jackson Dart's going to throw that much in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of runs by him, by Scattaboo, and I think Wandale is going to be the comfort guy over the middle, as well as Theo Johnson. Obviously, Darius Slayton's going to get some work on the outside, but he's just not, a consistent target earner and catch guy. So I'm going to go lower on Darius Slayton. We have 3 of our 8 picks. Let's head to Miami, Carolina. This is, this one has very much potential for a very solid offensive day. Chuba Hubbard is out of this one. However, I like Rico Dowdle lower than 13 fantasy points. This is half PPR, so before we get ahead of ourselves, he's probably going to have a couple receptions, but like I said, half PPR, and we're basically betting on him to not score. If he gets in the end zone, he probably hits this number. But even if he does, he might not. So we're going Rico Dowdle under. And I really like Achane in this one. Let's see. Achane's going to get a lot of work with Tyreek Hill being out. I think, should we just take him to score a touchdown? Or, let's see. Let's do... Let's do Devon Achane to score a touchdown. All right, 2 picks from that Miami-Carolina game. I think there's a lot of good spots with Chuba being out, with Tyreek Hill being out. It's kind of opened up some doors for us there. All right, let's head to the Tampa Bay-Seattle game. There's a definite spot I like in here, and it is Rachaad White over 3.5 receptions with Bucky Irving being out. Rachaad White is the guy, like I mentioned earlier, and Seattle allows a lot of dump downs to running backs, top in the league. So Rachaad White, a natural pass catcher. I like him to get at least 4 receptions in this game, if not more. We've got our 6 of our 8 picks. Let's get 2 more of these bad boys. Let's head to that Detroit and Cincinnati game. Should be an absolute banger for the Detroit Lions. This is a smash spot for them. Like I said earlier, I think this is a Jameson Williams week. I really like him to get at least 50 yards in this one. So that is 7 picks. Our multiplier is up to 50. We got 1 more pick. Let's head to the Washington and Chargers game. Let's see. We're believing in our boy Ladd. Like I said earlier, this is our one last shot for Ladd McConkey. Should we do his yards? Should we do his receptions? Should we do... Let's do his yards. I think Ladd can get to 60 yards. Has he even gotten close? Probably not. Okay, 74 yards in week 1. I think Ladd can get there. I like this. I like this group here. We got, let's see, $6 to win $563. Like I said earlier, if you want a chance at potentially winning $50, if we hit these 8 picks, comment down below on the video and you'll be automatically entered into that giveaway. I will share and copy the link down below in the comments. If you want to tail our picks, go ahead and just click the link and it'll auto load in there. So it'll be down there in the comments when this video drops. While you're down there, make sure you smash that subscribe button to help grow the channel. Hit that like button and comment down below. Of course, any start sits, I will get to them all and that'll enter you into the giveaway. I appreciate you guys Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for the support. We'll catch you on the next one. Good luck this week. Peace.